So, we talked before, the play starts on Sunday morning. And you don't necessarily have to write this down. I mean, you're welcome to like jot it down, but so Sunday morning is like the street brawl. Sunday night would be the Capulet party. Okay. And then like Monday, like super early morning, like midnight kind of, like overnight. That would be like the balcony scene. In like late morning, Romeo and Juliet get married. In the afternoon, we have the Tybalt fight. Okay. Okay, and then Tuesday, early morning, Romeo leaves to go to Mantua. Okay, and Juliet is told that she has to marry Paris. So we're really just on Tuesday afternoon here when this scene starts. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, the timeline becomes pretty important. The plan is for Juliet to marry Paris on Thursday, right? That was the original plan. So we are now Tuesday afternoon in Friar Lawrence's cell. Paris is there talking to Friar Lawrence, and then Juliet is going to come in because she is upset about having to marry him and wants to get Friar Lawrence's advice.
Sir, when I may be your wife.
Okay.
Act 4, Scene 1, Friar Lawrence's cell.
On Thursday, sir. The time is very short.
My father Capulet will have it so, and I am nothing slow to slack his haste.
You say you do not know the lady's mind. Uneven is the course. I like it not.
Immoderately she weeps for Tybalt's death, and therefore have I little talked of love. For Venus smiles not in a house of tears. Now, sir, her father counts it dangerous that she do give her sorrow so much sway, and in his wisdom hastes our marriage to stop the inundation of her tears, which too much minded by herself alone may be put from her by society. Now do you know the reason of this haste?
Yet I knew not why it should be slow. Look, sir, here comes the lady toward myself.
Okay, so Friar Lawrence is basically saying that like he doesn't really like the fact that they're rushing into this so much. He says you do not know the lady's mind. So he's like basically saying like you don't even really know her. And Paris says that he hasn't really talked to her about love yet, or very much. And what's the reason that he gives for that? Good. She's been grieving over Paris's death, right? She said, line 6, immoderately she weeps for Tybalt's death. So she's been too sad. Okay. So that's number 1. Okay. Okay, now Juliet's gonna come in. She and Paris are going to talk a little bit. Paris in the scene is like a little bit arrogant, kind of very like, oh yes, you love me, you know you're gonna love me. So yeah, he's just, of course, dramatic irony, right? We know more than he knows, so he thinks that like this is great and that they're gonna be in love and be married and everything will be wonderful, and we know that there's a big issue of her already being married.
Happily married lady and my wife.
That may be, sir, when I may be your wife.
That may be, must be love on Thursday next.
What must be shall be.
That's a certain text.
Come, you've made confession to this father.
To answer that, I should confess to you.
Do not deny to him that you love me.
I will confess to you that I love him.
So will ye, I am sure that you love me.
If I do so, it will be of more price being spoke behind your back than to your face.
Poor soul, thy face is much abused with tears.
The tears have got small victory by that, for it was bad enough before their spite.
Thou roasted more than tears with that report.
That is no slander, sir, which is a truth. And when I spake it to no face.
Thy face is mine.
So, for it is not my own. Are you at leisure, Holy Father, now, or shall I come to you at evening mass?
My leisure serves me, pensive daughter, now. My lord, we must entreat the time alone.
God shield, I should disturb devotion. Juliet, on Thursday early will I rouse ye. Till then, adieu, and keep this holy kiss.
Okay, so Paris and Juliet just kind of talk about like she's saying that he's calling her wife and she's like, that might not happen. And he of course thinks that it will. Paris like often gets kind of like a bad rep, right? Because like, you know, we all want Romeo and Juliet to be together or whatever, some people do. And they think that like Paris is the one getting in the middle of it. But I mean, Paris does seem like a loving person. Like he truly does like want to marry Juliet, cares about Juliet. And so you see that here a little bit. So now Juliet's going to, now that she's alone with Friar Lawrence, ask for some guidance of what she should do. She's going to kind of, again, threaten to kill herself if he can't help her, because she's sort of exhausted all of her options, right? She asked her mom's not going to help her. She asked the nurse is not going to help her. So she's basically desperate at this point.
Oh, shut the door, and when thou hast done so, come weep with me.
Juliet, I already know thy grief. It strains me past the compass of my wits. I hear thou must, and nothing may prorogue it. On Thursday next be married to this county.
Tell me not, friar, that thou hearest of this, unless thou tell me how I may prevent it. If in thy wisdom thou canst give no help, do thou but call my resolution wise, and with this knife I'll help it presently. God joined my heart and Romeo's, thou our hands. And ere this hand by thee to Romeo sealed shall be the label to another deed, or my true heart with treacherous revolt turn to another, this shall slay them both. Therefore, out of thy long experienced time, give me some present counsel, for behold, twixt my extremes and me, this bloody knife shall play the umpire, arbitrating that which the commission of thy years and art could to no issue of true honor bring. Be not so long to speak. I long to die if what thou speakest not of remedy.
Okay, so again, just kind of like saying that she's desperate. Friar Lawrence is going to basically tell her that he has this idea that basically it's kind of dangerous. But if you're like, he's basically, if you're willing to kill yourself over this, like if you're that like dead set against not marrying Paris, then maybe you'll agree to this kind of risky plan that I have. Pay attention when Juliet speaks next to, for your second question, name 2 of the horrible things Juliet says she would find preferable to marrying Paris. The next time she speaks, she's going to go through all of these things that she would rather do than marry Paris. So listen for those.
O daughter, I do spy a kind of hope, which craves as desperate an execution as that is desperate which we would prevent. If, rather than to marry County Paris, thou hast the strength of will to slay thyself, then is it likely thou wilt undertake a thing like death to chide away this shame, that copes with death himself to escape from it. And if thou darest, I'll give thee remedy.
Oh, bid me leap rather than marry Paris from off the battlements of yonder tower, or walk in thievish ways, or bid me lurk where serpents are, chain me with roaring bears, or shut me nightly in a charnel house, or covered quite with dead men's rattling bones, with reeky shanks and yellow chapless skulls, or bid me go into a new-made grave and hide me with a dead man in his shroud, things that, to hear them told, have made me tremble, and I will do it without fear or doubt, to live an unstained wife to my sweet love.
Okay, so what are some of the things that she says that she would rather do than marry Paris? Lock her up with what? Yeah, okay. So locked up with bears. What else? Uh-huh. Jump off a tower. What else? I know it only says 2, but did anybody else find any other ones? Die, yeah, die basically, right? She says like, bid me lurk where serpents are. So like I'll go walk around with snakes. You could bury me, basically. Cover me with dead man's rattling bones. Okay, bid me go into a new made grave and hide me with a dead man in his shroud. So she's like, put me in a coffin with a dead person, right? So she clearly does not want to marry Paris. What would we say, what kind of figurative language would we say that she's using here in this section? Do you think that she really truly means that she would rather do these things? So what's she doing? If she's exaggerating, right, then what kind of figurative language would we call that? Good, hyperbole. So personally, like what I did in my text is I just drew like an arrow next to this whole section and wrote hyperbole next to it. Because this is an exaggeration, right? Like, would she truly rather be locked up with bears? I mean, I know she said she's willing to kill herself, but that's like pretty torturous, right? So she's exaggerating. Okay, so in this next section, Friar Lawrence is going to present his plan to get her out of this problem. The rest of the play really centers around this plan and the ways that it does and does not work. So really make sure you pay attention, excuse me, to what he says that she should do. And then we'll talk about it after he's done explaining it.
Okay. Go home. Be married. Give consent to marry Paris. Wednesday is tomorrow. Tomorrow night, look that thou lie alone. Let not the nurse lie with thee in thy chamber. Take thou this phial, being then in bed, and this distilled liquor drink thou off. When presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor, for no pulse shall keep his native progress, but surcease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou livest. The roses in thy lips and cheeks shall fade to paly ashes. Thy eyes' windows fall like death when he shuts up the day of life. Each part, deprived of supple government, shall slip and starve and cold appear like death. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death, thou shalt continue 2 whole hours. From sleep. Now, when the bridegroom in the morning comes to rouse thee from thy bed, there shall again. Then, as the manner of our country is, in thy best robes uncovered on the bier, thou shalt be born to that same ancient vault where all the kindred of the Capulets lie. In the meantime, against thou shalt awake, shall Romeo by my letters know our drift, and hither shall he come, and he and I will watch thy waking. And that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua, and this shall free thee from this present shame. If no inconstant toy, nor womanish fear abate thy valor in the acting it.
Give me, oh, tell me not of fear.
Hold! Get you gone. Be strong and prosperous in this resolve. I'll send a friar with speed to Mantua with my letters to thy lord.
Love, give me strength, and strength shall help afford. Farewell, dear father.
Okay, so let's talk and break down what this plan is, because like I said, it's pretty important. So what's the first thing that the friar says that she should do? If you go back to page 1117. What's the first thing he says that she should do? Okay. And even before that, he says, go home, be merry, give consent to marry Paris. So he's like, go home, make up with your parents, say, okay, fine, I'll marry Paris. I realized I was wrong, right? And then, yes, lie alone in bed. So like a lot of times the nurse would like be in the room with her while she's like getting ready for bed and falling asleep and stuff. But he's like, go to bed by yourself. And then what's she supposed to do? Yeah, she's supposed to drink. He gives her a vial of this like potion or whatever you want to call it. He says a distilled liquor. Drink it. And then it says, presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor. For no pulse shall keep his native progress, but surcease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou livest. So basically it's gonna make her seem like she's dead. Okay? When she takes this potion. And how long is that gonna last? Not 48, but 42, right? Thou shalt continue 42 hours, and then awake as if from a pleasant sleep. So I think your third question is, what is the effect of the potion? Basically gonna make her appear dead. For 42 hours. Okay, and then she'll just wake up and everything will be fine. And then when she wakes up, what's going to happen? Yeah, so she'll take the potion, everyone's gonna think she's dead. They will take her into the vault, which like if you've ever seen in like a cemetery when they have like those big like kind of structures where like for a family would be buried there. And it says uncovered on the bier. So like basically they would like have the dead would like lay there for a few days before they were actually like put in a coffin or buried or anything. So but then once she wakes up, what's gonna happen? Good. Okay, so Romeo will be there. He says, I'm gonna send a letter to Romeo. So he'll be there and he'll be able to like run you to Mantua, and then you guys can live happily ever after in Mantua. Okay. I would think so. That seems like it would be easier, but maybe, I mean, I can see how then everyone is searching for her, then everyone's like looking to try to find where she is, and if everyone just thinks that she's dead, then they're just gonna leave her alone, maybe is the thought. Critical thinking is not a strong point for any of the characters in this play. So Friar Lawrence at the beginning of this says, Wednesday is tomorrow night, take this potion. Okay, so this is Tuesday. So he's saying on Wednesday night, you should take the potion. Okay, that's the plan. So Wednesday night, take potion, right? Because Thursday is supposed to be the wedding. Okay. All right. So I think number 4, what is supposed to happen when she wakes? Romeo will be there. You take her. to Mantua. Okay, so that is the end of scene 1. Make sure that you write a summary. Your summary could be something as simple as like Friar Lawrence and Juliet make a plan to get her out of the wedding. Or you could be more detailed if you feel like you want to remember some of those details from the plan. So take a minute to write your summary. All right, we're gonna go ahead and jump into scene 2. This takes place at the Capulet house. This is probably like Tuesday evening-ish, okay? They are all getting ready for the wedding on Thursday. Juliet is going to come in and apologize for disobeying her father, right? She's kind of starting the plan off here where she doesn't want anyone to suspect anything, so she's going to like sincerely apologize and say that she was wrong and that she's going to agree to marry Paris.
Scene
Oh, okay, what's going?
Capulet's house.
So many guests invited here are rich. Sirrah, go hire me 20 cunning cooks.
You shall have none ill, sir, for I try if they can lick their fingers.
How canst thou try himself?
Marry, sir, 'tis an ill cook that cannot lick his own fingers. Therefore he that cannot lick his fingers goes not with me.
Go, be gone. We shall be much unfurnished for this time. What, is my daughter gone to Friar Lawrence?
Aye, forsooth.
Well, he may chance to do some good with her. A peevish self-willed harlotry it is.
See where she comes from, strictly merry look.
How now, my headstrong? Where have you been gadding?
Where I have learnt me to repent the sin of disobedient opposition to you and your behests, and am enjoined by holy Lawrence to fall prostrate here to beg your pardon. Pardon, I beseech you. Henceforward, I am ever ruled by you.
Send for the county. Go tell him of this. I'll have this knot knit up tomorrow morning.
I met the youthful lord at Lawrence cell, and gave him what becometh love I might, not stepping o'er the bounds of modesty.
Why, I'm glad of it. This is well. Stand up. This is as it should be. Let me see the county. Aye, Mary, go, I say, and fetch him hither. Now, before God, this reverend holy friar, all our whole city is much bound to him.
Nurse, will you go with me into my closet to help me sort such needful ornaments as you think fit to furnish me tomorrow?
No, not till Thursday. There is time enough.
Go, nurse, go with her. We'll to church tomorrow.
Okay, it's a very short scene. Oh, there is a little bit more, sorry. We'll just listen to the rest of it and then we'll talk about it because it is very short. So top of page 1120.
We shall be short in our provision. 'Tis now near night.
Hush, I will stir about, and all things shall be well, I warrant thee, wife. Go thou to Juliet. Help to deck up her. I'll not to bed tonight. Let me alone. I'll play the housewife for this once. What oh, they're all forth. Well, I will walk myself to County Paris to prepare him up against tomorrow. My heart is wondrous light, since this same wayward girl is sorely plagued.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So Julia in lines 17 through 22 is apologizing. Like I mentioned, this is her going forward with Friar Lawrence's plan. She doesn't want them to suspect anything. She wants them to think like Friar Lawrence told me that I shouldn't have disobeyed you. And I know that I should always listen to you now. So she's going to ask for this forgiveness and then kind of erase suspicion. Now Capulet is just so excited that she has seen the light that what does he decide to do? Arrange it for when? For Wednesday, right? He says in line 24, I'll have this knot knit up tomorrow morning, okay? So now the wedding was supposed to be Thursday. So now he's moving the wedding to Wednesday, which is problematic because that means that Juliet needs to take the potion when? Tonight, right? She needs to take it Tuesday night instead of Wednesday night. But Romeo is not going to get the letter, right? Romeo's going to get a letter that says you need to be here by whatever, Thursday or Friday, basically, to get her out. But instead, the potion's going to have worn off, right? It only lasts for 42 hours. So if she takes it Tuesday night, it's going to wear off by sometime in the day on Thursday instead of not wearing off until Friday. And now she's like going to be stuck in a tomb and Romeo's not going to be there to get her, okay? So your first question on the study guide for this act is what her father decided. It's to move the wedding to Wednesday, okay? And then you see in line 28 through 32, Capulet is talking about how wonderful the friar is and how the whole city owes so much to the friar. And if you look at the question in the margin, it says, what is ironic about Capulet's praise of Friar Lawrence? So what do we know that Friar Lawrence has done that Capulet probably wouldn't actually appreciate?
Give Juliet poison.
Giving Juliet a poison that's going to make her seem dead. What else? Married her to Romeo without telling Lord Capulet, right? There's all these things that the friar has done that Lord Capulet would absolutely not appreciate. And he's like singing his praises like, oh, that friar, he's the best, right? But we know that he's done all of these things that Lord Capulet would not like at all, okay? So again, they reiterate here, will to church tomorrow at the bottom of the page. Lady Capulet at the top of page 1120 is like, we're not going to have enough time, like everything's not going to be done. Lord Capulet basically says like, I'll stay up all night and work on it. You go help Juliet. But he's so happy that now, she is agreeing. Predict what could go wrong because Capulet moved up the wedding day. So we talked about that. It affects the timing. She'll have to take the poison earlier. Romeo might not get there in time. So it just kind of messes up the timing. And then you'll need to write a summary of scene 2, which I would basically just talk about Capulet. Juliet apologizes, and so then Capulet moves the wedding up to Wednesday. Okay, so when scene 3 starts, we're in Juliet's bedroom. The nurse and Lady Capulet are there. Juliet is going to send the nurse and her mother away so that she can be alone because she's going to take this drug that the friar has given her. She's definitely scared to take it and not really sure if she should or not. So she'll talk a lot about her fears. And I know that's one of the questions on your study guide. So make sure that you're listening for sort of what are the things that she's afraid of happening if she were to take the potion.
Scene 3. Juliet's bedroom.
Aye, those attires are best. But, gentle nurse, I pray thee leave me to myself tonight, for I have need of many orisons to move the heavens to smile upon my state, which, well thou knowest, is cross and full of sin.
What, are you busy, ho? Need you my help?
No, madam, we have culled such necessaries as are behooveful for our state tomorrow. So please you, let me now be left alone, and let the nurse this night sit up with you, for I am sure you have your hands full all in this so sudden business.
Good night. Get thee to bed and rest, for thou hast need.
Farewell. God knows when we shall meet again. I have a faint cold fear thrills through my veins that almost freezes up the heat of life. I'll call them back again to comfort me. Nurse! What shall she do here? My dismal scene I needs must act alone. Come, Violet. What if this mixture do not work at all? Shall I be married then tomorrow morning? No, no, this shall forbid it. Lie thou there. What if it be a poison which the friars subtly have ministered to have me dead, lest in this marriage he should be dishonored, because he married me before to Romeo? For here it is, and yet methinks it should not, for he hath still been tried a holy man. Oh, if, when I am laid into the tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come to redeem me. There's a fearful point. Shall I not then be stifled in the vault, to whose foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in, and there die strangled ere my Romeo comes? Or, if I live, is it not very like the horrible conceit of death and night, together with the terror of the place, as in a vault, an ancient receptacle, where for this many hundred years the bones of all my buried ancestors are packed, where bloody Tybalt, yet but green in earth, lies festering in his shroud, where, as they say, at some hours in the night spirits resort. Alack, alack, is it not like that I, so early waking, what with loathsome smells and shrieks like mandrakes torn out of the earth, that living mortals, hearing them, run mad? Oh, if I wake, shall I not be distraught, environed with all these hideous fears, and madly play with my forefathers' joints, and pluck the mangled Tybalt from his shroud, and in this rage with some great kinsman's bone, as with a club, dash out my desperate brains? Oh, look, methinks I see my cousin's ghost seeking out Romeo, that did spit his body upon a rapier's point. Stay, Tybalt, stay! Romeo, I come, this do I grant to thee.
Okay, so let's kind of break down what she says on this page, 1122. So the first thing that she says is, what if this doesn't work? Will I be married tomorrow morning? No, no, this shall forbid it, lie thou there. So what does she have with her in case the potion doesn't work? A dagger, okay, so that's number one. She has a dagger if the potion doesn't work. Now she goes through all of these different things, these scenarios that she's afraid of. And it just says that you need to list at least 2 of them. So what are some of the things that she fears about this potion? Okay, Romeo doesn't come in time, that's one. That is, let me try and find where that starts. Line 30, how if when I am laid into the tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come to redeem me? Okay, so she's nervous that maybe she'll wake up before Romeo gets there. Paisley, what were you gonna say? Okay, yeah, but like she's gonna be stuck in the body in the vault, and there's all these bodies, right? She talks about Tybalt, but yet green in earth, right? I mean, he just died like the day before, so he's gonna be like a gross, like decaying body, not like skeletons, right? What else? What's the first thing that she mentions in line 24? Well, she does say at the beginning, what if it doesn't work? But then after she lays down the dagger, Keaton, what were you gonna say? Keegan, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that, she thought it might actually just be poison.
Good, yeah. What if it is poison, which the friar subtly hath ministered to have me dead? Okay, so any of those, you just need to write down 2 of them, okay? Why does she think that it might be poison? What reason would the friar have to kill her? Yeah, he married her to Romeo, right? He wants to hide the marriage. He doesn't want to be dishonored for having done that, so maybe he's just going to kill her for real. And she doesn't know, right? He just gave her this little vial and was like, here, drink this. It'll make you go to sleep for 42 hours. She doesn't know. Okay, we've also got a ton of figurative language in here. Let's see, line 33 and 34. Shall I not then be stifled in the vault, to whose foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in? What kind of figurative language is this? She's talking about the vault.
Personification.
Good, it's personification, right? She's describing the vault as having a foul mouth and not no healthsome air breathes in. So a vault does not have a mouth, cannot breathe, but we're personifying it as such, definitely personifying it in a sort of monstrous kind of way. Down in line 46, so early waking, what with loathsome smells and shrieks like mandrakes torn out of the earth? What kind of figurative language there? What with loathsome smells and shrieks like mandrakes torn out of the earth? A simile, good. We're comparing using like or as. Mandrakes, if you read the little footnote, it was thought to look like the human form and to scream when pulled from the ground. If you guys have ever seen, I think it might be the first or the second Harry Potter movie where they're like replanting the little plants and they like look like little babies and they scream. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay, so those are mandrakes. So that's obviously like not, it's fictional. That's not really what they do. They just look like they look like little human forms. They didn't actually scream, but that was like the myth behind them. Okay. Environed with all these hideous fears is also personification, describing the fears as hideous. And Juliet's thoughts here are just really showing that she's conflicted. She doesn't know what to do, right? She wants to be with Romeo. She doesn't want to disgrace her parents. She isn't sure that Friar Lawrence is really giving her this potion. You know, she thinks he might be poisoning her. And she really has no one to turn to for advice, right? So in the past, maybe she would have asked the nurse for advice, or even Romeo, or her mom, or even Friar Lawrence. She can't go back to Friar Lawrence now, right? It's nighttime. So she has all these people that she would normally be able to turn to and ask for help, and she has nobody. So she's just really conflicted and doesn't know what to do. You can tell that she gets like more and more upset as the scene goes on, and then she finally does take the potion at the end and falls upon her bed. Okay, so for your summary, you just want to put something about her being conflicted and then ultimately deciding to take the potion. All right, so scene 4 is very short. Your 2 questions are what time in the morning is it? And in the midst of all the cooking and prepping, Paris arrives for the wedding. Given what time in the morning it is, what does this show us about Paris? So I'm just gonna play it all the way through. Those are the 2 things to kind of look for. Very, very, very short scene.
Scene 4. Capulet's house.
Hold, take these keys and fetch more spices, nurse.
They call for dates and quinces in the pastry.
Come, stir, stir, stir. The second cock hath crowed, the curfew bell hath rung. 'Tis 3 o'clock. Look to the bed meat, good Angelica. Spare not for cost.
Go, you cock queen, go. Get you to bed. Faith will be sick tomorrow for this night's watching.
No, not a whit what. I have watched there now all night for lesser cause, and ne'er been sick.
Aye, you have been a mouse hunt in your time, but I will watch you from such watching now.
Jealous wood, jealous wood. And now, fellow, what is there?
Things for the cook, sir, but I know not what.
Make haste, make haste. Sirrah, fetch Friar Lawrence. Call Peter. He will show you where they are.
I have a head, sir, that will find out logs and never trouble Peter for the matter.
That's a well said, merry Orson. Ha, ha, ha. Thou shalt be loggerhead. Good faith, 'tis day. The county will be here with music straight, for so he said he would. Ah, I hear him near. Nurse, wife, the home. Nurse, I say. Oh, waken Juliet. Go and fill her up. I'll go and chat with Paris. Ah, make haste, make haste. The bridegroom, he's come already. Make haste, I say.
Okay, so what time is it? It is 3 a.m. They have been up all night long working to get ready for this wedding because they were already rushing it and now they're rushing it even more, right? Because they've moved it up a day. And Paris arrives. So what does that tell us about Paris? Yeah, he's excited for the wedding. Like I said before, Paris kind of gets like a bad reputation because he's like the other man in the play, but like it does seem like Paris truly cares about Juliet, is truly excited about this wedding, and would probably have made her happy if, things had been different. So that's your 2 questions for scene 4. What time is it? 3. And what does this tell us about Paris? He's eager to be married. Your summary can basically just be they're preparing for the wedding and Paris arrives. Like there's not a lot that happens in scene 4. And then we are almost done. So in scene 5, the nurse is going to come into Juliet's room to wake her up for the wedding. She is going to find her what she assumes is dead. We, as the audience, know that she has just taken this potion, but the nurse will assume that she's dead and sort of raise the alarm.
Scene 5. Juliet's bedroom. Mistress, what mistress? Juliet. Fast I warrant her she. Why, lamb, why, lady? Why, you slug a bed? Why, love, I say. Madam, sweetheart. Why, bride? What, not a word? You take no penny words now. Sleep for a week. For the next night I warrant that Count in Paris hath set up his rest, that you shall rest but little. God forgive me, marry and amen. Sound is she asleep? I needs must wake her. Madam, madam, madam. Aye, let the county take you in your bed. He'll fright you up if they will not be. What? Dressed and in your clothes and down again? I must needs wake you. Lady, lady, lady. Alas, help, help, my lady's dead. Oh, well a day that ever I was born. So awful you say home, my lord, my lady.
What noise is here?
Oh, lamentable day.
What is the matter?
Look, look, oh, heavy day.
Oh me, my child, my only life, revive. Look up, or I will die with thee. Help! Help! Come, help!
For shame, bring Julia forth, her lord is come.
She's dead, deceased, she's dead, alack the day.
Alack the day, she's dead, she's dead, she's
Ah, let
dead.
me see her. Out, alas. She's cold. Her blood is settled and her joints are stiff. Life and these lips have long been separated. Death lies on her like an untidy frost upon the sweetest flower of all the field.
Oh, lamentable day.
Oh, woeful time.
Death that hath ta'en her hence to make me wail, ties up my tongue and will not let me speak.
Okay, so who first finds her and assumes that she's dead? That's your first question. Who finds her? The nurse. Okay. And then Lady Capulet comes in, realizes that she's dead, upset. Capulet comes in, he says her blood is settled, her joints are stiff, so he is sort of like confirming, that she appears to be dead. We have a nice simile here, line 28 and 29. Death lies on her like an untimely frost upon the sweetest flower of all the field. Okay, so you know how if you get an early frost, say in September or October, for some reason the temperature drops down and there's still flowers out, and then now they have a frost on them, so they're frozen. Okay, so he's comparing her to that. So Friar Lawrence and Paris and the musicians are all going to come in, obviously assuming that she's ready to go to church, and they will find that she is actually dead. And then Friar Lawrence is going to give some advice about what to do with her body now that she's dead towards the end of the next page, so make sure you listen for that.
Come, is the bride ready to go to church?
Ready to go, but never to return. O son, the night before thy wedding day hath death lain with thy wife. See, there she lies. Flower as she was, deflowered back in. Death is my son-in-law. Death is my heir. My daughter he hath wedded. I will die and leave him all. Life, living, all is death.
Have I thought long to see this morning's face, and doth it give me such a sight as this?
Accursed, unhappy, wretched, hateful day. Most miserable hour that e'er time saw in lasting labor of his pilgrimage. But one poor and loving child, but one thing to rejoice and solace in, and cruel death hath catched it from my sight.
Oh, woe, oh, woeful, woeful, woeful day. Most lamentable day, most woeful day that ever I did behold. Oh day, oh day, oh day, oh hateful day. Never seen so black a day as this. Oh woeful day, oh woeful day.
Beguiled, divorced, wronged, spited, slain, most detestable death by thee beguiled, by cruel thee quite overthrown. O love, O life, not life, but love in death.
Despised, distressed, hated, martyred, killed, uncomfortable time. Why camest thou now to murder our serenity? O child, my soul and not my child. Dead art thou, dead. Alack, my child is dead, and with my child my joys are buried.
Peace home, a shame. Confusion's cure lives not in these confusions. Heaven and yourself had part in this fair maid. Now heaven hath all, and all the better is it for the maid. Your part in her you could not keep from death, but heaven keeps his part in eternal life. The most you sought was her promotion, for 'twas your heaven she should be advanced. And weep ye now, seeing she is advanced above the clouds, as high as heaven itself? Oh, in this love, you love your child so ill that you run mad, seeing that she is well. She's not well married that lives married long, but she's best married that dies married young. Dry up your tears. and stick your rosemary on this fair course, and as the custom is, in all her best array, bear her to church. For though fond nature bids us all lament, yet nature's tears are reason's merriment.
Okay, so the friar first of all points out like you wanted nothing but the best for her, and obviously, you know, he's a part of the church, so he is going to be basically saying like, you know, she's now in heaven, and what could be better than being in heaven for her, right? Like her soul is now in heaven. And it's best to die young when the soul is still pure and still without sin. So of course, like he's going to, like he knows that she's not really dead, but of course he's going to try to comfort them as well. And then what does he say that they should do with her body? At the top of page 1127. Yep, take her to the church, right? So basically saying like, he's not leaving any time for, you know, he wants to get her in that tomb, in that vault as soon as possible, right? So that nobody like starts to question anything or suspect anything. So he says, dry up your tears and stick your rosemary on this fair course. And as the custom is, in all her best array, bear her to church. Okay. They would put rosemary, which is like an herb if you know, like a cookie, like people use it to cook. But like you would put that around the corpse so that it wouldn't like smell so bad. Okay, so to take her to the vault immediately. Okay. All right, so Capulet is going to agree basically like everything that they were going to use for the wedding, they're now going to use instead for the funeral. You'll see after line 95 that Capulet, Lady Capulet, Paris, and the friar all leave. And we're left with like the musicians and the nurse and Peter. And this is again one of those scenes that's like humorous. You don't necessarily have to understand everything they're saying. They're just kind of like joking around and talking after this happens. And we'll talk about why they would do that in a minute.
All things that we ordain in festival turn from their office to black funeral. Our instruments to melancholy bells, our wedding cheer to a sad burial feast, our solemn hymns to sullen dirges change, our bridal flowers serve for a buried course. And all things change them to the contrary.
Sir, go you in, and madam, go with him. And go, Sir Paris. Everyone prepare to follow this fair course unto her grave. The heavens do lower upon you for some ill. Move them no more by crossing their high road.
Hey, we may put up our pipes and be gone.
Honest good fellows, put up. Oh, well, you know, this is a pitiful case.
Aye, my troth, the case may be amended.
Musicians, oh, musicians, heart's ease, heart's ease. Oh, and you will have me live, play heart's ease.
Why heart's ease?
Oh, musicians, because my heart itself plays, my heart is full of woe. Oh, play me some merry dump to comfort me.
Not a dump, there's no time to play now.
You will not then?
No.
I will then give it you soundly.
What will you give us?
No money on my faith, but the Greek. I will give you the minstrel.
Then will I give you the serving creature.
Then will I lay the serving creature's dagger on your pate. I will carry no crotchets. I'll rear you and I'll thaw you. Do you note me?
And you ray us, and boss, you note us.
Pray you, put up your dagger and put out your wit.
Then have at you with my wit. I will dry beat you with an iron wit and put up my iron dagger. Answer me like men. When griping grief the heart doth wound, and doleful dumps the mind oppress, then music with her silver sound. Why silver sound? Why music with her silver sound? What say you, Simon Catlin?
Marry, sir, because silver hath a sweet sound.
Really? What say you, Hugh Rebeck?
I say silver sound because musicians sound for silver.
Pretty too. What say you, James Soundpost?
Please, I know not what to say.
Oh, I cry you mercy, you are the singer.
I will say for you, it is music with her silver sound, because musicians have no gold for sounding. Then music with her silver sound, with speedy help doth lend redress.
What a petulant knave is this same?
Hang it, Jack. Come, pull in here. Terry for the mourners and stay dinner.
Okay, so basically, if you read the footnote at the bottom of page 1127, after the tragedy of Juliet's death, Shakespeare injects a light and witty conversation between Peter and the musicians. And then they trade insults and make puns. Basically, this is just like comic relief. It's like a break in the tension, right? Like there's been this huge, horrible thing that's just happened and everyone is like sad. And now they're going to have like a break in that tension. So that's your answer for number 3. It's just like comic relief or a break in the tension.